Today on the channel we're going to take these Gibson Les Paul custom water slide decals and put them on my homemade Gibson Les Paul. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at these Gibson water slide decals that I ordered. I got them from Canada off of eBay. I think I paid about 11 bucks for these things, so my expectations are kind of low. But as many of you have observed on a prior video of mine, I built this pink Gibson Les Paul custom and demonstrated how I did it on my channel. And just to finish it off, I decided to put these water slide decals on it and just give it a little bit more of an authentic look, so to speak. I'm not trying to sell this guitar as a Gibson or even really fool anybody that's a Gibson. I just want it to look as correct as possible. Not so sure how I feel about these gold logos, but I guess it'll go along well with the hardware. So let's take a Gibson Les Paul custom, an actual Les Paul custom, and compare it to what these logos look like and see how close it looks. We'll check that out first, and then we'll hopefully successfully put these on this guitar. I always struggle with water slide decals, so hopefully we'll get it right. All right, out of the box, here's what they look like. On second review, I actually kind of like it, man. I like how they've got this little bit of a sheen to them, and on closer inspection, you can't really see it, I don't think, but the decal, there you catch it a little bit. The decal is cut close to the logo, so it's not just a square decal, so it'll go on and look a little bit more genuine. I could cut it to shape, but I never seem to get that right. Arts and crafts is not my forte. It's a miracle I can actually build a guitar that's semi-acceptable. So let's take a Les Paul custom and put these decals on the guitar next to the real logos and see how it looks. We'll do a comparison. Here's my 2002 Gibson Les Paul custom, and we'll take a look. We'll see. Yeah, it looks close enough to me. All the sizes and angles look appropriate. I'm happy with that. It's not really significantly out of shape or anything like that. I've had some water slides that look like a first grader did them. And there's that's weird looking. There's the Gibson comparison. Look how this end looks on this. So it's, I guess that's right. Yeah. One thing about these old Gibson Les Paul custom logos, they start to look weird over time. Always people think that means it's a fake. That's just how they age. That's age appropriate. And with these water slide decals, they look super clean, and obviously when you touch them, you can't feel the inlay. It's not like this abalone stuff, but again, we're just doing this for appearance purposes. And I'm going to put them over the paint and the lacquer that I put on there, because it's almost impossible to lacquer over decals. It doesn't work. So I'm going to stick these on there and spend a little bit of time getting it right. So I'll video it. Hopefully I won't embarrass myself. And I guess I need to get me a Gibson Les Paul custom plate like this. If I can find one that's affordable, that looks, I guess I'll have to buy a fake, because I don't want to buy one for 30 or 40 bucks, whatever they go for. Okay, let's begin. Okay, for reference, I've got my Les Paul custom in the background. so I can eyeball this thing. I'm just going to MacGyver this thing and do it by eye, just basically lining it up, getting this headstock a little damp so I can slide this sticker around, this decal. Once it gets on there, once this soaks for about 30 or 40 seconds, it'll be ready to go. Looks like when I look at the Les Paul Custom, the logo on the Les Paul Custom, I'll take it off the stand, looks like the B is just underneath this little book fold right there. So I gotta get that right. This N is real close to the binding, and the G, this is angled obviously. I want to get the Gibson brand logo on there first, so that way I can try to angle this just right. I think it'll be easier for me to do it that way. I think, anyway. This makes me nervous. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but if I mess this up, I got to order another one and wait another 2 weeks for a fake logo. I guess the whole thing is kind of crazy. All right, let's see. All right, this thing's sliding off just fine. One thing that I always struggle with is these things wind up folding or bending or doing something stupid when I put them on the guitar. Okay, so let's look. I'm sliding this around because the headstock's wet. It's important for you to get the headstock kind of damp. That way you can move the decal around. All right, let me see. Let me look how close that looks. All right, looks like this G's got to get a little bit closer to the tuning peg, like that, and this has to come up a little bit. All right, let me look. Wish I could show you guys both of these at the same time. Maybe I can put an image on the screen in editing to show you how close this looks. I think that's a little better, like that. It's really far away from this peg right here. That S should be diagonal with this point. That looks pretty close. That's pretty close. Yeah, I think they drilled these tuning peg holes a little far down. It looks like there's a lot of space here, so that's one issue I'm having. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher, just a little bit like that. That looks pretty centered to me, right? That looks kind of close. Yeah, I think it would look better a little higher, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal out of a fake logo. Huh. Yeah, I think that's close enough, man. I think we got it on that. So I can wipe off some of this excess water. These things always bubble up and look weird when they dry anyway. So I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of it, because this thing's still going to look fake to the, when you're really close up to it. Cool. All right. Now let's get this diamond on there, or whatever this thing is called. The Gibson Custom Diamond. I did have a small little squeegee. I was gonna scrape over that. Let's see if I can find it. Well, I had a tool, like a squeegee, to flatten that out just in case there were bubbles in it, but it looks pretty good. What do you guys think? That look all right? It's pretty Pretty good, man. That's pretty good. I'll go with that. All right. This one I think is going to give me a little bit more trouble. So let's see if we can... Oh man, it's coming off inside the bowl. Let me try to get this out. This reminds me back in the day doing model cars, when you try to be putting like numbers and decals on your race cars. I'd always mess that up. It was not my thing, man. I love doing them, but I always wanted to get them finished within like an hour. That was my problem. I never had the patience. All right, so, okay, first and foremost, this is going to be a little wonky because it's hitting this truss rod cover. So this should be like this, and that should be up there a little bit. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Let's see, the point on this thing should be close to the G, like that. Okay. Looks like I'm hitting my posts, my tuning pegs, a little bit. So I may have to take a razor blade to that and cut those off slightly. I wonder if I have the skills to snip this one. This one right here is a little, nah, these scissors are all janky and jacked. I'm not gonna screw with it. I guess I just need to lay this thing down on the tuning pegs and then maybe cut it later. Get a razor blade once it dries and cut it. Let me see how accurate that looks. And it looks pretty messed up. Man, this thing is all, it's too wide. Let me get a butter knife and see if I can do something with that edge. All right, trusty kitchen knives here. See if we can get that to do something better. I like the position that it's in. I'll consider it acceptable, but it's not great. But I guess for what I'm trying to do, I'll accept it. I'm trying to push this water slide around this metal tuning peg so that it'll lay right. This right here is bugging me. That thing is killing me. So I'm gonna fold this up just a little bit. I'm gonna snip the end off of that. I feel like a surgeon. I do not have steady hands in the least bit. And my eyesight's not the best. I got my readers on. Probably the first time I take this truss rod cover off, it's gonna cause me trouble. I wonder if I can slide this thing up just a little bit. I really don't want to, because that'll make this thing off-centered. It's probably the most boring video of all time, but I just wanted to share with everybody. I thought in my mind, hey, this would be kind of cool. This is the kind of content I like to watch sometimes when there's nothing else to do. But, you know, try to do things different on this channel once in a while. Otherwise, I get bored. I don't know if I'm getting bored. You guys probably getting bored too. I guess that's what we're going to call it a day on this. I can't get this to lay down very good right here. I can't get it to lay down. Hey, I got it to move a little bit. Maybe if I bring it up just a little bit, that'll solve my problem. I mean, this thing isn't supposed to be that high on a Les Paul, but to get it around these posts, and for fear of cutting my decal and messing it up, I may just deal with it like that. Get these bubbles out of it. Looks like this should come over this way a little bit, like that. You know what, guys? I think I'm gonna call that a make that a finished project right there. I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna try to get a little bit of these bubbles out, let it dry, and then I'll show you guys a shot from a distance and up close what it looks like once this thing dries. Okay? Cool. We'll see it in just a little bit. Okay, so here's a close-up look of it, and not bad. This is dried out well. Took a paper towel and got all the excess water, flattened it out. Not exactly perfect. That middle bar is a little close to that tuning peg there, the B string. I'll put it on my lap and do a wider angle shot of it sitting on my lap so we can look at it that way too. All right, as promised, here's the wide angle shot of it from a distance. I'll drop the link below from where I got this decal on eBay if you're interested in buying one for yourself. And I hope you like this kind of content. If you do, please consider subscribing. And as always, have a great day. Peace out.